Assalamu alaikum. Let's cook.
The delegation for the singing of the national anthem.
Okay, people, that dude you see singing right there, that's Lawrence Larry King Jr. For this video, we're just going to call him Larry King, okay? He's a junior. Now, he's singing at the Republican National Convention right there. So how was that? How was this black man from Omaha, Nebraska singing at the Republican National Convention? Well, we're going to get into his past and some of the disturbing things that he was into and why the Republicans under the Reagan administration embraced this guy. So Larry King, he was born on September 7th, 1944 in Omaha, Nebraska. He grew up in North Omaha, which is the center of Omaha's black community. He comes from a working class family. His family was deeply involved in the Presbyterian church. His father was a meatpacking worker, a small business owner. I don't know much about his mother's occupation, but he is a junior. Now, Larry King is the family's second child and oldest son. His family regularly attended the Calvin Memorial Presbyterian Church. Eventually, Larry King became an elder at the Calvin Memorial Presbyterian Church, okay? That's something that I guess he's proud of. He became an elder at the church. He was also known as a talented singer. Music was a big part of his life during his childhood. He did sing in the church choir, and his parents encouraged him to take singing lessons. And when he took these singing lessons and singing in the church choir, he developed into a talented baritone, which is what you seen him singing at the Republican National Convention, just singing his little heart out or whatever. He attended Omaha Central High School, and while attending school, he reportedly worked as a waiter at the Blackstone Hotel. Now, this Blackstone Hotel was one of Omaha's prestigious hotels, and when he worked there, he was exposed as a teenager to very wealthy businessmen, politicians, prominent visitors, and stuff like that. So he was being very inspired at a young age to basically make money and do some big things. Now, he graduated from Central High School in the year 1962. After he graduated from high school, he enrolled at Omaha University. He studied pre-med when he was there. He left school. He didn't stay in school. He left the medical path, and he entered the U.S. Air Force in the year of 1965. He served 4 years in the Air Force. He went to the rank of sergeant. He served in Thailand during the Vietnam War. He was an information specialist. During his Air Force years, he married a woman by the name of Alice Ploch, who he met in Chicago. Now, after he left the Air Force, Larry King returned to Omaha, Nebraska. He pursued a career in banking and business, okay? Now, his official resume stated that he received a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Nebraska at Omaha in the year of 1972. He's at his first banking job at 25 years of age. So he goes into a management training program at First National Bank of Omaha. Larry King and a janitor were the only black employees at this bank. When he worked at this bank, he became frustrated with what he believed was his lack of advancement. So he left this bank in August of 1970. And this is where his father, Lawrence Sr., stepped in. They call his father Pancho, by the way. Now, his father stepped in and played an important role. His father had experience running an employees credit union at the Swift meatpacking company. His father was in the meatpacking business. So there was a struggling black credit union called Franklin Community Credit Union. The people there needed help, And they knew that there was a black man named Lawrence King Sr. who had experience with banking and running credit unions because they knew that he ran this credit union for the meat packing industry. So they approached him for help. They asked him, hey, can you come to this bank? Can you help us get back on our feet? We need boom, boom, this, and that. He's like, I can't do it, but my son, Larry King Jr. can. Okay, so he went, got his son, connected them. Larry King goes into this Franklin Community Federal Credit Union in 1970. He became a manager and a treasurer. At this time, he's about 25 or 26 years of age, a lot of responsibility. So in this job at this credit union, he served the predominantly black and lower income North Omaha residents. He became very visible in the community, and he portrayed this credit union as a bank, but also as an institution that was helping economically disadvantaged people obtain financial services to improve their quality of life. He was very involved in the Omaha civic life. His resume says that he was with the YMCA, the Head Start, Campfire Girls, Omaha Ballet, University of Nebraska Medical Center Minority Scholarship Programs, Minority Contractor Program. Listen, all kind of stuff. This dude was out there in Omaha, in the community, moving and shaking. He was also involved in other businesses outside the bank. He was a restaurant owner, a caterer. He was president of Consumer Services Organization, and he was the director of Franklin Housing Corporation. So this dude at a young age was doing his thing, man. So he's out there moving around in the community. He's becoming well known, and then politics enter the picture. Now this dude, Larry King Jr. here, is a Democrat. He supports a guy named George McGovern, who's a Democrat. And eventually, Larry King switched over to the Republican Party. He went from the Democrat Party to the Republican Party. So by the early 1980s, he's becoming a prominent dude within the black Republican politics. He's moving up. He's now a Republican. His resume shows that he became the vice chairman of the Nebraska Black Republican Council, then chairman of the state's Black Republican Organization. He eventually became involved in the National Black Republican Council, including leadership and fundraising responsibilities. So he was doing it all. He's a black man. He's a businessman, a banker, military veteran, church leader, community activist, public speaker, talented singer. So yeah, you know somebody's looking back at him like, okay, we could do something with this guy right here. So you know this is how people get recruited by the white man. And he's a Republican, right? Okay. So by the year 1984, Larry King was attending Republican events, different places. He's moving and shaking, you know, and people started to know him. The white folks, they're liking him. He's talking to them. They liking what he's saying. I guess they thought he was an adorable little Negro who could sing. And that's why you see him in that intro video singing at the Republican National Convention, which was located in Dallas. This Larry King Jr. was all the way in with the Republican white folks. I mean, he's hosting gatherings at this place called the South Fork Ranch, which is famous for that television series Dallas, that ranch. Well, he's there having parties. 4 years later, in the 1988 Republican National Convention, he spent $100,000 on a party for 1,000 guests, okay? So he's getting all kinds of connections. He moving and shaking, doing his 1-2. Finally, his connections, they reach Washington, D.C., the White House. Gets to the Reagan administration, Reagan White House personnel operations, okay? So Reagan's people are like, okay, we see you, Larry. But they want to use him for something interesting. They want him on the team. And in 1985, President Reagan approved Larry King for a position representing low-income people on the National Consumer Cooperative Bank / related cooperative board structure. Okay? Now, all this time, people, when he's in with the Ronald Reagan crew and the Republicans and they seeing him and they recruiting him, he's still at the bank. Remember, the credit union, okay? Doing his thing. Now, this guy, Larry King Jr., right? His salary at the Franklin Credit Union is about $16,000 a year. But he drove a $70,000 Mercedes. He spent around $10,000 a month on limousines. He had over $1 million in credit card charges. He lived on a large estate overlooking the Missouri River. And he had a $146,000 floral bill over a year That's just flowers. So he's spending more on flowers, way more than he makes at this bank, $16,200. So this dude is getting a lot of money. But then here comes the question. Where's all this money coming from? Now, eventually, investigators allege that this guy, Larry King Jr., had been manipulating the Franklin Credit Union's books and diverting large amounts of money. Now, federal regulators, they eventually shut Franklin Credit Union down on November 4th, 1988. So they had a financial investigation and it exposed losses approaching 40 million. So now this dude, Larry King, is looking like a thief, a scammer. Larry King Jr. is going through the whole investigation scandal with the bank taking 30, 40 million. He's all over the news. He's in the media. People are seeing his face and some people are remembering his face. Small people, children, okay? Children are seeing his face all over the news and some of them start pointing at him. They're like, we know that man. Little girls, little boys, they're pointing at him. They're saying that's the guy that did boom, 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 this, and this to us. So at this time, right, in June of 1988, there was a social worker who reported allegations of possible child abuse to the Nebraska Foster Care Review Board. Now, this is a state organization and they are responsible for reviewing the welfare of children placed outside of their homes. So there are small people who are in the foster care service who have been getting abused. Some things have been going on. And these are some of the children who are pointing to Larry King and other adults saying that they did this, and this to us. Now, some of these children's names are Alicia Owen, Paul Bonacci, Troy Boner, and Danny King. I don't know if they're all alive. I know Alicia Owen is still alive, I believe, to this day, okay? Now, they all gave accounts alleging that when they were small, they had been sexually exploited by adults associated with parties involving Larry King and other prominent people. Now, these are just some of the kids. Y'all know how this goes. It's all kinds of kids. Now, these children said that they were taken to parties. They were given drugs and alcohol. They were sexually abused. They were even transported to other cities where other wealthy people and big-time politicians and other adults did things to them. They said that that's what they were doing. These children are pointing at Larry King. They're like, that's the guy. That's the guy that would have us going here and doing this, and this at this party or whatever. He been doing this to us and letting them do this, all kinds of stuff. So the Nebraska legislature established what was known as the Franklin Committee to investigate. That's where this man by the name of Gary Caradori comes in. Now, this man, Gary Caradori, he's a private investigator, and he was hired by the Nebraska Legislature Franklin Committee to look into all these allegations. We're talking about the stolen money at the Federal Credit Union. We're talking about this stuff with the kids, and that's what he kind of leaned towards. He was deeply involved in that because he wanted to know more or get to the bottom of these young kids who said that they were sexually exploited and taken to parties involving influential adults. So this man, Gary Caradori, he's all in. He's interviewing different witnesses. He's talking to the kids, the small people, various small people with these allegations. He's getting everything he needs to get, all of his ingredients. He's getting ready to get to the bottom of this and roast them, okay? So after speaking to these kids, right, this man, Gary Caradori, he starts looking for corroborating evidence. He's like, I need more. I hear the kids. I believe what they saying, because why would they be saying this? But I need more. So he's trying to get to the bottom of this. So what he wanted to do was look for things like photographs, travel records, witnesses, and other documentation that could establish what these young kids are saying. So by the summer of 1990, this guy, Gary Caradori, he believes he's making big progress. Gary Caradori starts pressing this guy, Rusty Nelson, like, listen, I know you got this, and that. I need it. This guy, Rusty Nelson, act like he didn't want to give it up. Boom. So Gary Caradori pulls out the burner, put it to his head, put the gun to his head. He said, I will kill you. You know, I need all of that. And this guy, Rusty Nelson, is pleading with him. He's like, listen, man, you have no idea what you're dealing with here. These are big time people, real big. These guys are multi-millionaires, politicians. They can do anything. They're all connected. They'll even kill you and your children. That's what this guy Rusty tells him. So Caradoria was like, I'll kill you and them. You know, he's got the gun out. He's upset. He wants this. He's not really hearing what this guy is saying like that. But this guy is trying to plead with him like, please, you don't know who you're dealing with. These are some of the biggest people in the nation, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So finally, this guy, Rusty Nelson, gave him the photographs, you know, gave him like a briefcase, whatever, full of photographs that will connect them to this whole thing that the little kids were saying or whatever. And so when he gave Gary Caradoria all this CSAM in this briefcase or this package, he's like, I got it, I got him. You know, he's really feeling like he's making major moves. So he gets on the phone. He calls a committee chairman that he's working with by the name of Senator Lawrence Schmidt. So he tells this person, Lawrence Schmidt, hey, like, listen, I got it. I got this, and that. He said, we got them by the short hairs. Okay. So Gary Caradoria is really feeling himself. He has all the information that he needs, you know, to pin these guys to this. He called back home. Then on July 11th, he's still in Chicago. Him and his son go to the All-Star game. They go to the All-Star game. The game's over. They're ready to fly back to Nebraska now. Again, people, he has his own plane. He has a small twin-engine plane. Him and his son get in the plane. They start flying home or whatever. And during the early hours of July 11th, they're flying over Illinois. Something happened. The airplane just breaks apart while it's still in the air. All the wreckage comes down in this town called Ashton, Illinois. Stuff from the plane everywhere. Gary Caradoria and his 8-year-old son, Andrew, both killed in this plane. So immediately, people suspect, come on, man, sabotage. What's going on here? What do y'all think about that? That this timing is crazy. Here we got the investigator looking into the allegations of Larry King and all these, remember who he's with, people. This is a guy moving and shaking with Ronald Reagan and Republicans, black dude from Omaha, Nebraska. He goes to Chicago to get the evidence. He gets what he needs, but then he calls home. He talks to a senator who was overseeing the investigation like, we got him. On his way home, his plane just falls out of the sky. What do y'all think about that? Also, the evidence, this briefcase that he has with all these pictures and all these materials that he needs, never recovered from this wreckage. It's gone. Many of Gary Caradoria's people, his supporters, they believe that this was an inside job, okay? 2 days after this guy died and his plane crash went down, FBI agents went and served his wife with a subpoena seeking all the records that she has in that house, okay? So this also made people feel suspicious, like, what's really going on? You know what I mean? Gary Caradoria is out of the way. He's their lead investigator. So they found that there's no credible evidence that these things were happening to these children. They say that this was all a hoax. They said there's no sexual abuse, no interstate trafficking, no drug trafficking, no pornography, none of that. They say that this was a carefully crafted hoax. And here's the thing. One of those accusers who was very vocal, her name is Alicia Owen, they actually sent her to prison for 4 years for perjury for even opening her mouth. The black Republican Lawrence King Jr., he's off the hook for that, for the child stuff. But he's not off the hook for stealing the money. He was finally sentenced to 15 years in prison. He does his time. He gets out. They said he did about 10 years, actually. He didn't do the full 15 years. He was released around 2001. And they say that he returned to the Washington, D.C. area. There are people that said they seen him in Northern Virginia. They say that that's where he lives, in Northern Virginia area. And this dude, I believe, is still alive. You know, people actually seen him at events and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So there you go, people. That's the story. What do you all think about this? I mean, this is a black man, Republican. They took him in. He reached the White House. He's moving and shaking. But it just goes to show the big picture and what everything is all about, man. This is why this Epstein stuff is no big deal. Nobody's going to prison. That Epstein stuff is American. White people do not care about children. Yeah, they'll always have some shine bones and sell out Negroes to hire to do work for them. Of course, that's part of life, but they're in control. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people, what do you all think about this, man? What do you all think happened? Get in the comments. Let us know. Let me know. You know what? This just makes me look at a lot of our folks, you know what I'm saying, who go around screaming and pouting and fighting for these white supremacist political parties. It really looks bad because now we got this wave of so-called black Republicans who go out attacking the black Democrats, saying you guys did this, this, and that, and you guys are in the small people, and you never did this when you had office. True, black Democrats did absolutely nothing for us. They are white supremacists, but they're all into this stuff. The sad part about it is for a very long time, our people were under this spell with these Democrat Party, very abusive relationship. They have never done anything for us. And now we have these new black Republicans who are super critical of these Democrats, but I don't see how they don't realize they're the same exact people. These white supremacist Republicans and Democrats, they're all the same people. They just have a different way about getting to their bottom line. So just like these white people are the same, you can see now how the black folks are all the same. All of these Negroes who go hard trying to represent and yell and scream for these white supremacist parties, whether it be Republicans or Democrats, they're all the same. So you have these black Republicans, they're super critical of these Democrats because, you know, they should be, right? And then you have these new Republicans who are jumping out the window saying that they support this party who has never, ever did anything for black people. They haven't even said they're going to do anything. You know what I mean? So you can see where they're also smoking hopium. They're just hoping. Why would you do something for anybody that's smoking hopium? We have this guy, Larry King here. He's a Republican from back in the day. I mean, look at him. Look at what he's into. It's no different than the rest of them, man. Any one of these shine bones that make it to a certain level, all they do is do the work of these white supremacists, and they're pretty much butter biscuit squabbling to see who's going to get in so I can get a job, what white daddy lap is I'm going to sit on. These people are all the same. The white people are and the black people are, because you can't prove otherwise in no way. For somebody to say, hey, these guys are going to do this, these Republicans, you got to be smoking hopium. A Republican never, ever said that they're going to do anything for any black people. It's just that the Democrats were in position, black people vote for them, and have never did anything but just give us an abusive relationship. Anyway, people, man, get in the comments. Let me know what you think about this story, what you know about this story. Real nasty, huh? Real nasty. Link in the description to the masterpiece, The N-Word is No Secret in the Service. Also, link to the email list. Go ahead and holler at that easy.